So, kind of piggybacking off of this a little bit, how can up-and-coming Black women writers, directors, actors, producers, anything really, support one another to ensure a diverse future for horror?
Work together. Work together. Just work on each other's films. If you see someone's film, it is supported on social media. Go see it in the theater. Bring your friends. Make sure you buy tickets, because we need to financially support each other in that way too. Build an audience, because that's what producers are going to see, and financiers. They're going to say, "There's an audience for this. There's a following for this." We should be creating that community for ourselves. And I'll say that in the program I'm in with the Right Back Rise, what I love about it, it's eclectic. We've got several Asian writers, we've got several Black writers, we've got trans, we've got Latina. It's just this, it's like it really is like a village, and we are all supportive of each other. It's very collaborative. And we lean into supporting the Asianness of the story of the Vietnamese twins who want to tell that story. But I don't have to be Asian to be supportive of that. So I find that to be much, very, very enlightening, because I'm learning something. Because as a Black writer, I'm writing about a Hawaiian. I've spent time in Hawaii, and I had a writer's residency there. But I'm not Hawaiian. But I bet, and for any of you in here who have Black characters in your stories, or want to tell a story that has a large Black component, you better do a pass by some Black people. Okay, you need to make sure it's authentic. And I am not a believer where you can't write about something if you're not that group. I think there is something to be said for, if a group hasn't had a chance to tell their stories, that we need to really promote those writers having a chance. But it doesn't mean that I can't write any characters that are outside of who I am. But I just have to do that authenticity check. I need to run my script by someone who's Hawaiian. And I think it's important for any of you who are writing outside of your group to make sure you do that.
Can I say something mushy? I think that this is it's a marathon, not a sprint. It is a lifestyle. It is a life of being vulnerable. It's a life of pitching. It's a life of leveraging your dignity to express yourself. It's a lifestyle of this kind of putting down your power, picking it up, all that. And I think we need safe spaces to be vulnerable. We need safe spaces to tell our friends, like, here's actually what's wrong with your script. We need safe spaces to have camaraderie, and I think we need the kind of community where we can fail, because we're not allowed to really fail up in the bigger Hollywood system. And so we need spaces with each other where we can fail and still find community with each other. I think a lot of times when we're networking and looking around, we're looking for who can help us, right? Who can help me where I'm going. But that's kind of like wanting to have a wife but not wanting to be a husband. I think we also need to learn how to be really good friends with each other. I need to know that I can call somebody and be like, I don't know what to do, and there's a safe space to do that.
Yeah, I just listening to you all talk, it just makes me think about how Nace, Spade and myself, how we met in Berlin, right? At a dinner. And then we kind of just stayed in contact. And then now we're up, all of us are up here, and I get to meet Melody. And it's just, it's just really great. We're just so open to each other. And my favorite thing about growing community is if I can help you, I will. If I know somebody who I think would be a good fit to help you with something, I don't know, even if you just want to bounce an idea off of someone, I'm always down to connect people. I connected Nace to someone this earlier today. And she's a woman, and I feel very strongly about connecting women in general, and in particular, Black women, because as we do need to support each other. We do need to be soft with each other, and we need to be just kind in general. I'm always for that. I was always told, Carolyn, you're too nice. And I'm like, well, sorry, I just like to be nice to people. You want me to punch you in the face? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just be nice to each other. And if somebody's a dick, then, don't give them your niceness. That's not good. Save it for somebody who deserves it, right? But yeah, I don't know. I just creating spaces and community. And I love seeing when I go to a film festival and seeing Black women out there, because that's another component. So I don't see a lot of Black women at film festivals. And I don't know if it's because we don't feel safe or we don't feel like we're wanted in these spaces. But I used to go to like horror film festivals by myself because my sister, she's like, she likes horror, but she's not going to come with me. I didn't have most of my friends didn't like horror. So I just went by myself and I would just chit chat with people. I'm the person in the lineup that asks you about your shoes, and I can't shut up. So, I just talk to people, and yeah, I just would like to see more Black women at film festivals and taking up space. And I feel like that's what we need to do. Don't be afraid to go out. I know we have to gauge as women safe spaces and that sort of thing, but just take up space. I think just go to something that you're afraid to go to and do it, and then you'd be like, I did that thing, because I'm afraid of everything. And I'm up here, right? So I don't know, I just encourage Black women out there, Black women filmmakers, just approach people, and if they say no to you, they say no. So yeah, just try things.
Oh, I was going to say one small concrete thing. So this life is very expensive, like going to festivals and going to markets and stuff like that. So one thing Black women can really do to support each other is if we're going to the same city, let's share a hotel, let's get an Uber together. I have a friend or a cousin or whatever, let me hook you up with her. My cousin will let you stay on her sofa. There's all of these small ways that we can save and create opportunities by way of being able to afford to go to markets and festivals and things like that to progress our careers.
Yeah, I was going to say that the Nick's Horror Collective that I co-founded, we have a fellowship that some of you ladies should apply to. It's for women horror filmmakers, and it's a fellowship to Stowe Story Lab, so it's you don't have to pay for it. You can go to that lab and be with mentors and work on your script and learn about pitching. But there was something else you were getting to that I just wanted to add to the idea that we are honest with each other, and that it is. The kindness I think is we have to, but part of that kindness is that tough love. And so if there is something that is not working or something that needs, we can't be so afraid that's oh no, I'm not supporting a Black filmmaker if I say anything negative. We cannot do that because we're not going to grow as filmmakers unless we're able to be, critical in a constructive way, not to tear each other down because we don't need to do that. But we have to be professional and we have to have that critical eye.
One thing I would love to add to that is that we also need to be able to receive that. And this is not something specific to Black women at all. This is all people. But if you are the person that says, please give me feedback, and they're like, well, I didn't love this, and you freak out, you will never get real feedback ever, and you will never improve. So you got to go into it going, say whatever you got to say. I'm still going to love you after this. Please just tell me what I need to know. And then ideally, you get back some good constructive feedback, right? So I'm going to request short answers to this next one. The answers have been wonderful, but I want there to be a little bit of time for audience questions because I know people got some good questions in the audience. So what changes would you like to see in the horror genre over the next decade regarding the inclusion of Black women?
I'm just going to say we should be directing features. We've said it already, but that's what I want to say.
Yep.
And writing. Yes. And playing the lead roles and the supporting roles. Not just one role, not just the dot.
I'm going to say more financing and development. I'm having way too many conversations. That sounds amazing. Call me when it's done. How's it going to get done? So financing and development, I think, is something I would like to see more in this space.
I second that. I'm kind of I'm facilitating that, but I want to see real results. I want to see like, okay, yeah, they just gave me 25 grand seed money or something. You know, like I agree with that. And I just think the executives, I would love to see more Black women executives in film as well, because it's ridiculous. Like, come on.
And that they don't get fired.
Exactly. Yeah. Yep.
Well,
Absolutely. So, quick shout out for you guys. What are some of your proudest contributions to the genre, and what are you working on now?
Well, I'm doing a lot of things. I do a lot of things. I'm a bit of a hustler, but I've been published in a couple of encyclopedias. One is an encyclopedia of racism in American film, encyclopedia of Japanese horror films. What else? Oh yeah, I'm a commentator on a documentary series in Canada called A Year in Film, and it's so much fun. We just talk about films and just how we relate to them. Also creating a new accelerator called Access Threshold with my business partner, Kata Edwards-Pierre, and we are expanding the lab that I co-created for 4 years, and we're doing like 3 streams. So stay tuned for that. Very excited about it. We're looking for some seed funding as well, because as you were talking about, like we need to have money to like compensate filmmakers. So yeah.
So what I'm working on right now is a feature called Late Bloomers. It's a horror feature, and we're in the financing stage, packaging. I think my biggest contribution to horror film and film overall is just teaching people that being able to work one-on-one with screenwriters or students, and trying to empower the next generation of filmmakers to make their very best work is probably my biggest accomplishment.
And for me, it's that I've been able to produce women and our first winner of a fellowship was a Black woman, to see their horror work on Shudder. I myself, I'm working on several different projects in development. I sold a show to Netflix with Will Packer that's a supernatural show about an immortal Black family, and we'll see if they make it. I'm working on the Reggie Hunlin story, is a supernatural series that Kat Graham is attached to, and we've been pitching that out to various companies, so we're waiting to hear back. We just pitched last week. And I developed a horror show with Terrell McCraney and Sterling K. Brown. That one's true to my heart, and the one that's in that's the one that probably won't go. But you never know. Knock on wood. But it's always the one I love. I love them all, but that one in particular because they're such wonderful partners. And then in the Ride Back program, I'm writing a feature that's a sci-fi horror. So that's
Wonderful stuff. Alrighty, we've got a lovely long line. Go ahead. What is your question?
Yes, thank you so much, ladies. This is a panelist discussion I didn't know I needed. I'm with Austin Women Magazine, and I'm covering their film and movie here at the South by Southwest. But I'm also a neuroscientist. So I like to come from a neural perspective of how movies influences the mind and the emotions and the deeper nuances. What you have opened up for me in this conversation is, and I'm going to get to my question, is our memories of watching horror flicks with my father at a young age. I'm a Gen Xer, so the ratings were not what they should have been back then. But I always felt protected because he was there, even though, there were scary moments. And I stopped watching them after a time as an adult. But my question is for you, this is relevant. My question is, how do you define horror? Because there was a lot of what you said had to do with like storytelling, sharing our trauma, but also infusing love and having different perspectives from the Black woman experience. I'm doing my first documentary on a rare neurological condition that my mother has, and I'm partnering with Stanford. And with your conversation, I started thinking, that it's kind of horrifying that my mother has this rare neurological condition, but it's not horrifying in a sense that now I get to tell her story in this journey of our family navigating this experience. So the question is, how would you broadly or, clearly or, pin down the genre of horror given what I just told you about the documentary and my insight?
That is the best question of my life.
Oh.
I'll start. I define it pretty broadly. I think if I were to define it for me, and I don't think that this is like a universal description, by any means, but I think it is cultivating an environment that thrills with fear. That's how I would define it.
There's I don't know if you've seen it, but there is an org chart of horror that breaks down all the subgenres, because sometimes we don't realize psychological horror is horror. There's the creature feature horror. There's zombie horror. There's all kinds of different ways, and as you begin to look at it, you realize, oh, this story. But I do think it's always about what is frightening, truly scary. And I also grew up, very young, watching movies I shouldn't have been watching at a very young age. In fact, most people that I know who are into horror started off being exposed to it very young. And so there's just a different way that we kind of process things and see the world, I think. Yes. And I don't know if that fits with what you've been studying, but it's almost like it activates something different within people. But some people don't know how to delineate between science fiction and horror. They get confused. They're very different things. But for me, I say, like, Alien and Aliens, that's sci-fi horror. That's a subgenre, because it scares the hell out of you. And that's like the defining for me.
Well, so I grew up with, my background's Caribbean, and also I was raised Catholic, so everything is terrifying. Everything. We watched The Exorcist. I swear I was like 11 years old. It was like a primer on how not to be, like the devil will possess you if you do this, whatever. But I would say, it's funny. I've been seeing a lot of submissions with dementia as the kind of the antagonist, and as people get older, like I feel like there's a lot of Gen X filmmakers, and they're seeing their parents deal with that. My boyfriend's father had dementia, and that's a real life horror. Like, that's real terror, because you walk into a room, you don't know if this person's going to recognize you from hour to hour, not even day to day, hour to hour. Right. And so I think for me, all the genres of horror kind of are swirling, and they're kind of amorphous. But I think it really relates to the stage of your life as well, and what horror affects you in at that stage of your life. Like, when I was a kid, like I watched Godzilla, like, oh my God, Godzilla's gonna smash my house. And now, like, as you get older, you're like, oh my God, like, what if that thing on my back is like, it grows, like, what if I grow a tail or something? You know what I mean? Like, everything, you're like, become a hypochondriac as you get older. So everything is terrifying. But yeah, I think that's my answer.
And I think horror also allows us to Trojan horse certain issues and really get in. So if, like, let's say there's an issue that the story of your mother, a horror version of it might be more heightened, that has to deal with something that, maybe that was going on with the government, wasn't giving, wasn't sending checks or something, and for Social Security or something like that. And then so usually horror heightens it. So it isn't always just what's happening right in front of us, but allows us to dig into to get into it in a way that isn't as direct. It's indirect.